Well, good morning, everybody. We have something so fascinating for you today. Hockey, for a lot of people, is thought to be our national sport. And it actually is our national sport in the winter. But for the longest time, up until 1994, lacrosse was our national sport. And it is still our national sport in the summer. And the roots of lacrosse within the First Nations people, well, it dates back centuries. And it's really cool because The Rock, tomorrow night, in their final regular season home game, they're honoring that with these unique jerseys that they're going to be wearing. And it is Indigenous Heritage Night. We're really cool to be at Henhawk Stick Making here this morning. We got Daniel, who's making a stick for us. We got Nick Rose from the Toronto Rock, who this is fascinating. So he's the goalie. So there's normally a whole lot more padding that goes underneath there. So that was a little bit big on you. Yeah. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah,
What's going on? And proud to introduce Kevin Sandy from Haudenosaunee Lacrosse. Yeah. Thanks for having us, Kevin.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Welcome.
What does this mean for the Rock to be hosting this event?
Well, for Rock, it's a huge game, right? For the Rock, it's a huge game. I think it's a battle for like second place. I think probably home floor advantage with the with the local Halifax Thunderbirds, which is like you say owned by Kurt Sires. But for us, I think it has more of a significance. You mentioned earlier, it's Canada's national sport, but I think for the Haudenosaunee people, it's always been that, right? Like you say, it's a wooden stick game. It's attached. It's a medicine game. It's attached to our creation story. It's a game that's played in the sky world. It's a game that's played here on what we call a Wednesday, our Mother the Earth, and we still utilize it for medicine. It's still part of our ceremonies. It's still part of our beautiful way of life, and then again, it's a game. I says that to me has been gifted to us, and it's a game that's we really share. Like I say, so we hold it very. It has, I guess, so much a beautiful spiritual connection to it, and it's just amazing. And I think that's what you're going to see Saturday. The biggest crowd of the year will be actually at FirstOntario Centre.
Well, I was at the last home game, and if you've never been there, it's an experience, and it's pretty good that they won, and Rosie played fantastic. It was a very spirited game. But I want to get to what's Daniel doing here, Kevin, and the traditional wooden sticks you don't see as much anymore.
No, this is you see them like they're around. He says, but this is Daniel's actually stringing the stick, and again, but it's part of a ongoing process. Like he's taking his shagbark hickory stick that he likes utilizing, and he's actually, I think he's stringing this one up with all leather, right, Bo? Yeah, or you got nylon as well.
Why don't you see this used as much anymore?
What's that?
Why don't you see the traditional wooden sticks used as much anymore?
Just rules, variations have been changed like over the years. Like the game has evolved, right? Like you say, up until we'll say 60s and 70s, when plastic kind of mold injection came, 100% of the market was wood. But then technology, just like we have iPhones and cell phones and stuff like that, the game has evolved, right? And so like it's changed, it's evolved. But again, in our community, we still use a wooden stick.
Right.
Yeah.
And then this stick.
Yeah, this stick.
Okay, so what's your stick? Your stick that's the Haudenosaunee.
Yeah, this is the Haudenosaunee style kind of stick, but also like this is the one version. This was actually kind of more similar to, we'll say a couple hundred years ago. We have the big bend stick, right? Yeah, so that's actually totally different. You want to pick that up? It's that kind of pretty heavy, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Got some weight to it.
Oh yeah, it's got some weight to it. Yeah.
And then what about this one?
This is actually the Anishinaabe stick. Actually, this is they have a game called Bagadawaywin, and their stick is totally different. It's actually made out of ash, but it's also part of a demo that we're going to be actually doing on Saturday night at the game, because we're going to play with our Haudenosaunee style sticks here.
Is that the ball?
Yeah, and that's the ball that we'll probably use. Maybe you might use this one, or kind of a variation of a leather ball, like a deerskin ball here.
Oh, Rosie, you probably like to get hit with that ball better than that one, right?
On the floor once you're done.
So the Anishinaabe Bagadawaywin program actually is run by Isaiah Kicknosway. They're going to be utilizing their sticks. We're going to be utilizing our sticks. We're going to play a 7-on-7 game. We're going to have a pole on this end, pole on that end, and
it's a totally different game.
Totally different game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's happening tomorrow night. Okay. So it's the Indigenous Heritage Night. A lot of cool stuff, as Kevin was saying, is going to be going on. And these jerseys, along with the helmets and shorts, are going to be auctioned off. The auction is happening right now, but it goes until Tuesday. Who designed these, Kevin?
Tracy Anthony from Vision Artworks here from Six Nations.
Amazing. We'll get talking to Daniel about making these traditional sticks, and maybe we'll have a thing or two to say to this guy too. Right? Trying to fill out that jersey. Right? All right. Yeah. Well, you can get one. You can get one of those.
Yeah, those
right? We'll come back to Henhawk Stick Making.
I don't get cross-checked with these.
Morning live. Well, good morning, everybody. Pretty neat location we got for you today, because we're seeing how a traditional wooden lacrosse stick is being made. This is all in honor of Indigenous Heritage Night at the Rock game tomorrow night at First Ontario. It's a big game too. They're playing Halifax as their final regular season game. And we got goalie Nick Rose here with us this morning, so we're going to be talking about how big that game is. Good morning, Rosie. We got Kevin Sandy from the Haudenosaunee Lacrosse. Good to see you, Kevin. We talked to him in the first segment. Then we got Daniel Henhawk.
Hello.
How you doing, man? So this is his shop where he makes these traditional wooden lacrosse sticks, and it starts with this stick that you found where?
Locally. My wood's sourced locally from Six Nations here. I get it from family members, from community members cleaning out their plots of land, and then I turn them into wooden sticks.
Really? Does it matter the type of wood that we're using to make these traditional sticks?
There's a couple of different kinds of woods you can use, but I always use shagbark hickory. I find it's the strongest and it bends the best for me.
Hickory is the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so you actually did all the bending of this stick already, and this is the kind of setup how you do it?
Yeah, it's right here. So it's steamed for an hour and a half, and then it's stuck in the jig and bent around and clamped up, jigged up.
Okay, so jigged up, and then you had it like kind of clamped in there for forever how long?
Yeah,
and
so those clamps would be what that turns into, and it turns into that, and it turns into this.
Next step is?
Shaving the head off and cleaning it up.
Can we see a bit? Can we see a bit of that?
Oh yeah. So I just kind of inspect it real quick, a little split here, and then look for any kind of any imperfections in it, and then I'll go from there. Cause you gotta look at the wood first.
Is imperfections good or bad?
Usually bad.
Right, like something like that. Would that affect something?
It won't affect the strength. It will just affect the way the wood, the way the stick turns, the way it spins, the way it feels.
Let's get into the clamp and start shaving some of this. Because would you even know how long, from start to finish, it would take to actually make a traditional stick?
It depends on the drying time of the wood. So the drying time takes for the longest. It can be like a year to 2 years or so, something like that. But that just depends on how wet the wood is. But the work time on this with modern technologies and machines and whatnot now, I get it done in about 8 hours.
8 hours.
But by hand, it takes twice the time.
Okay, start shaving to see what are you using there?
This is one of my draw knives. So this is the one I use for mostly ripping large chunks off at once. Then I have smaller ones for the mouth, ones for the handle, but This one is my favorite one.
Yeah, let's see it, right? Because how often, I don't know, are people still using wooden sticks?
Yeah, some guys do. I do. I coach, and a lot of the boys on the teams I coach always use some. And a lot of community members down here, there's always 1 or 2 boys on almost every team that use one. But off the reserve, they're rare to see. But they are still out there.
What is the benefit of using a wooden stick?
It can be personalized to said person's preferences, the way they want to spin the stick, or what end what end the stick has the most weight on, and how heavy it is. If it's light or heavy, the different shapes of the handles.
Because the shaft itself is one thing, but then as we saw you in the first segment, it's the stringing of the stick with the leather and the string in there too is the entire other thing. Is this something is this kind of what it would look like in the finished product?
Yeah, so this will turn into that. That's one I made many years ago.
That one behind you, can you see that one there that's just hanging up, that finished one? Can you grab that one? Yeah, that one there. I know that's not stringed on, but that's something that we would see here.
This will turn into this, yes.
Cool.
So by the time it's finished, it will be around the same size, similar, and yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, very cool. Thanks for chatting, Daniel. So again, this is a big game for many reasons, because there's so many events that are going to be happening, activities happening that have to do with the Haudenosaunee Lacrosse, and Kevin talked about that in the first one. We're going to talk about that coming up too. And all these jerseys that the lads are going to be wearing, these are going to be auctioned off along with their shorts and their helmets. The auction is up now. It goes up until Tuesday. Head to the Rock website for that and get your tickets, because man, it's a big game, and there's not too many tickets left in the lower bowl, but they're opening up the upper bowl too, so that's really cool. We'll get talking to Rosie about the game and a few more of the events, what's going on with Kevin Sandy and Indigenous Heritage Night, the Rock game tomorrow night on Morning Live. Well, the Toronto Rock are enjoying a great final push to their season with 2 games left. Final regular season game goes down on Saturday night at the First Ontario. Pretty special night because, I don't know, if they win, they lock up a home playoff spot. But it's also Indigenous Heritage Night, and they're going to be sporting these jerseys. I got one on. Put me in, coach! and then we got Nick Rose, goalie Nick Rose. Good to see you, buddy.
Tim, good to see you again.
I like seeing Rosie with this jersey on
Yeah,
because normally
I need some equipment for sure.
you
but-
lost so much weight,
Yeah,
man.
no kidding.
Goodness, because obviously with all your padding, you
Yep.
fill that out. But how great is how,
Yeah,
how
they're
cool
awesome.
is this going to be wearing this?
Obviously, just the look of them, but it's a pretty special night for us, and finally be able to get to do this. It's supposed to do these a couple of years ago, wear
Right.
these jerseys, but yeah, they're awesome. A lot of good stuff going on Saturday, and it's a massive game. So
So for you growing up in Orangeville, the connection to Six Nations and the
Yep.
First Nations for you, what has that meant?
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where kind of the two places really have pushed each other over the years. Like a lot of just the competitive nature of it. We played against Six Nations growing up.
Kevin Sandy here, guys. If you haven't watched the segments this morning from Haudenosaunee Lacrosse, we talked to him before, and we'll talk to him again. And we should set up where we are. We got Daniel Henhawk here. This is Henhawk, traditional wooden sticks, and he's stringing one for us. Did you ever use wooden sticks, Rosie?
Yeah, in the summertime, I always use a wooden goalie stick. Actually, so he's doing the leather there. I use a mesh in my wooden stick, but yeah, if we're allowed to use them, I'm using those.
So can you use them in the NNL?
Not in the NOL. I joked around earlier. They like a lot of goals in the NOL, so we have to use a smaller plastic sticks. But as a goalie,
Is it harder? Oh, because as a goalie.
players actually have to use plastic as well. It's just a part of the rules.
But is it easier to score on you with a wooden stick? Are they bigger or smaller?
No, I think it's tougher. Yeah, they're a lot bigger. Cover up more of the 5 holes. So,
Right.
So don't have to worry about any kind of squeakers between the legs with the wooden.
Dude,
stick.
you're not letting anything anyways.
Well,
Man, you got
yeah,
a great.
hopefully that keeps going,
Listen,
but,
you're on a nice little run here. What's going on?
Yeah, we're playing with some confidence, but I think we kind of recognize that our early our start in the season, starting 2 and 3, we really had to buckle down, and it's paying off now. But we got to take care of business Saturday.
So we got Halifax on Saturday.
Yep.
Right. It's gonna be a good night. It's gonna be a
it's gonna
raucous
be
crowd,
awesome,
right?
Packed. They've been loud. The atmosphere has been great in Hamilton.
Well,
so we're
listen, I
excited.
was at the San Diego game a couple weeks ago, and man, if you've never been before, it's tons of fun because you got the music going, you got hooting and hollering, you got Rosie doing his thing, and the whole team. So it's pretty cool. And on Saturday, you got tons of events to honor our First Nations, as it is Indigenous Heritage Night. So we'll get Kevin Sandy, who's from the Haudenosaunee Lacrosse. We'll get talking about some of those events. And again, we should mention that that's going to be auctioned off. You're wearing that Saturday. That's going to be auctioned off along with your shorts. Is your jock strap getting auctioned
no,
off?
I do have I do have some painted gloves that are going to be up for auction for me. I know the players have their helmets and gloves going
Cool.
up.
And that goes all the way to Tuesday. So go to the Rock website for that. And we'll watch Daniel kind of, I don't know, this is a real art. So cool stuff here.
It's tedious.
Yeah, as we come back to Henhawk Stick Making in Six Nations on Morning Live. Good morning. This has been such a fascinating morning. Welcome back to Henhawk Stick Making in Six Nations. We got Daniel Henhawk, who's actually, it's a real art to what he's doing as stringing this lacrosse stick, because he makes traditional wooden sticks here. And this is all in anticipation, if you haven't been watching all morning, to The Rock and their first ever Indigenous Heritage Night. It goes down tomorrow night from FirstOntario Centre. They're going to be sporting these jerseys. Great to be back with Daniel. We got Kevin Sandy from the Haudenosaunee Lacrosse. Good to see you, Kevin. We got Nick Rosie from The Rock. Can we shout out who designed these jerseys again, Kevin?
Yeah, Tracy Anthony. He's a graphic artist here. He's an awesome artist. He runs his shop called Vision Artworks here on Six Nations.
What's the current state of lacrosse with First Nations?
Well, here in Grand River it's huge. I think lacrosse is what I always say is kind of like king and queen here in the community. Like you say, it's the number one sport. I think hockey's big here, but lacrosse it's because it's tied to who we are. Right? It's tied to our creation story. It's just the essence of who we are, and it's big. Like you say, like it's. I think we got about 400, 500 kids who are part of the Six Nations Minor Lacrosse. We're one of the largest associations in Ontario, if not Canada.
Are just little kids just handing lacrosse sticks as they're growing
Oh
up?
yeah. Like you say, it's just part. It's like part of the birthright, right? Like you say, you get a young male born into like you say, basically born into the game, and one of their first gifts are given is a lacrosse stick.
What about women?
Yeah.
What about women?
Women
Playing
play.
lacrosse,
Oh yeah,
yeah?
women are playing box lacrosse right
Yeah.
now. They're playing field lacrosse. There's so many wonderful opportunities for the women and the young girls to get involved, and you're seeing it's growing. It's growing at, I think, at every different level that we see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daniel handed me this. Rosie, what this tossed at you?
Let's leave that one here.
Okay, what do we do with this? This is how you make the
Pocket breaker.
the pocket breaker. So throw that in there. Oh, that's how it's done. So take us through this stick again, Kevin. Like this is the Haudenosaunee of the cross stick.
Yeah. This is the style of stick that we would have utilized. Obviously, I showed you the kind of big bends kind of stick is over there. That's
Right.
kind of like we'll say circa 1800s.
Where'd the other one go?
The other one?
The Anishinaabe.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
you
if
can
somebody
show-
didn't see
and,
that.
and you can show the distinct difference just by holding it up, right? They're two different style sticks, yeah.
So
One's
why
made
did
ash,
this is a
one's made-
totally different game.
It's a totally different game, yeah. You could say a lot of the Great Lakes nations played this game, and they use this kind of style stick. And every different nation that I know of, like you say across Turtle Island, across North America, had a stick ball game. And because we're close, like look at us, okay, we're close to sort of like the Carolinian bush, and so the trees are different here for us, right? So it's all kind of connected to the land and the environment and Mother Earth
But
and what you
why
have
did
close.
this one take off? Why did these sticks take off? Why did the Haudenosaunee way take off and compared to the?
Good question. That's a good question. You can say because I think about this in terms of like our stories, right? If you look at our stories, like our traditional homelands are what we now know as New York State, like the Finger Lakes area, the Finger Lakes region. And I think in that area, I think when I'll say the newcomers first came over, I think I think first and foremost, they probably seen our game probably first because of where they come from, right? And I think that's part of it. That's part of I think the aspect of the game. And I even look at it in terms of numbers now, right? With New York State. New York State has probably the highest concentration of lacrosse players in the world, box and field players.
Really?
And coincidence? I don't think so. Like I said, I think it's just connected to who we are. Bolen might have a different story about that as well because
But it's great.
Yeah,
It's great to
yeah.
have the rock.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And the connection to First Nations and Six Nations, and we're celebrating that tomorrow night at the Rock game because it's a big game. You know, playing Halifax. If they do win, then lock up a home playoff spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We already got the playoff spot, but good to be in the front of the home crowd, and it's going to be a nice big crowd. There's a few tickets left in the lower bowl, but the upper bowl is going to be open, and I know there's tons of events that are going to be happening
for sure,
throughout the night,
for
so it's
sure.
going to be a lot of fun. And these are the jerseys that me and Rosie are going to be wearing tomorrow night out there.
Are you in the lineup?
Yeah, so I hope so. And they're going to be auctioned off along with the shorts and the helmets and some other cool stuff. You got it all done? Let's see it. Show it off for us, Daniel. That's it there. Right? Thanks for having us, guys. Thanks for having us, Daniel. And
Yeah,
best of
thank
luck,
you.
Rosie,
Thank you.
and cheers,
Yeah,
Kevin.
Appreciate it.